Repainting Joyfully. This is part 2 of the true cost of home ownership. Steve is working today, so I am just saying the third thing that we did. The video was so long we cut it in half. The first half we talked about getting electrical work on the house because our lights just randomly quit working, and changing our internet. So we had to have it installed in the house and then buried outside days later. And our third thing is painting the front hallway, which I've got video of that. We have Steve here taping it up. Here, I'll show you that. And we had to vacuum numerous times because Sammy's in most of our videos. She's taking a nice nap right now, but her hairs go everywhere. So even though you vacuum, it seemed like they just kept floating up. And when you have wet paint, they then go into the paint and kind of ruin your paint job. So we had to keep vacuuming over and over again. Painting this front hall, which we thought was just a little minor project, ended up taking longer than we thought. And here it is, and the final result. It took a while to hang up this picture too because the first original sticky things we had were not sticky enough, so we had to buy a second set. We do like to hang things with Velcro, or we do like to hang pictures and things. Our pegboard, our IKEA pegboard with Velcro command, Velcro strips if possible. They typically hold a lot of weight and stay for quite a while. The strips we had, we got them at Walmart, and they felt like they weren't real sticky and they were not holding, so we had to go buy some more. This time we chose the Velcro ones, which typically do hold up. Now after we did this project, we did some more projects. We worked outside pulling weeds, and I started cleaning our fence. Our fence is really about this color. It is white, and it does have a lot of brown in it now, brown and black. And I was using a hose. Steve bought some solution that you attach to your hose, and it's supposed to miraculously wipe away all the dirt when you spray it. It didn't work, so then I had to hand scrub it. I used a solution of Whip It. That's something we bought years ago. It's a natural cleaner. It's supposed to be made of food products, or you can safe enough to eat. I used Whip It and a scrub brush, and it was a lot of work in my arms. My arms hurt here, my shoulders and hip. I then went on to weed eating a lot of our weeds, and the weed eater is about as big as me. We didn't record any of this because we were headed into the heat wave that is here this week. We wanted to get it done. If we record, it takes 2 to 3 times as long, and we just didn't have the time. So we spent 3 days working in the yard, pulling weeds, and Steve washed part of our house off. Now I know why people don't have white fences. I don't remember ever really cleaning our fence. It never really showed in a brownish stained fence, and now I see why. But we didn't think brown would match our house, so we did stain our fence white. We hired somebody to do that, which it's probably about time to do it again. We are going to have to rent a pressure washer to go over the fence again, as well as our patio and walkways. Our house you cannot pressure wash because it is hardy plank, and that takes the paint off if you try to pressure wash it, so you do have to just use a solution. And then Steve also knocked down a lot of wasp nests, and we have ants. Living in Georgia, we have the red fire ants, so we put out things for that in the backyard. We don't like to put out poison or anything that the dogs could get into. We don't like to use any lawn poisons or anything like that with the dogs. So we have a lot of weeds in the backyard, but the front is was nice until we had that internet installed, and they left a lot of deep tire grooves throughout our yard. So we're waiting for that to hopefully look better. Our yard had been soaking wet too because it had been raining torrential rains every day, every afternoon. It was awful storms that soaked our yard, and we even had a tornado in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and the weather is just crazy. I think this is a little bit early to have our hot days, our heat wave. The dog days of summer, I believe, are more in July and August. So it's been challenging. I took the dogs on a very short walk today because none of us can tolerate it, but if we don't walk, we get grouchy, especially the dogs. They get full of anxiety and upset. So I did take them on a brief walk, and so we've been very, very busy. So even if the things we did are relatively free, like picking weeds or things like that, there's time. They're very time consuming, and that means you don't have time to have fun or do the other things that you want to do in life. So home ownership is tough. Now, at this point, I think the world is too, I don't know the correct word. I don't want to say crazy. The world is too uncertain right now that I think moving is kind of a bad idea. Everything's up in the air right now. So much has been going on day to day. Like we said, the world has changed so drastically in the last 5 years, but especially in the last 6 months to a year. Now on a daily basis, we can't believe what's gone on, and we did get our home value in the mail, and it said our home has gone down in value, which was pretty shocking. I don't know why it would go down in value, but I think house sales have decreased with interest rates staying at 6 and 7%. I think we've reached the point where of people who can't afford. All the people who are up here with income were able to get a house, income and credit scores. They bought the houses, and now we've moved down to lower income and lower credit scores. I think we've reached the saturation point where now house values have no choice but to start coming down, because to sell, we have to go down to the people who have lower incomes and lower credit scores. So our house has come down in value. So at this point, we weren't planning on moving immediately. We have a lot of work to get done on this house, even though we've only lived here 5 years. We weren't planning on moving immediately, but we were hoping within a year or two, and now it seems questionable if our house values plummet for several years. We don't know. Although I did tell Steve, I think this is the best time to move, because as your house value plummets, what you're going to buy plummets. When house values went up, everybody said, oh, let's move. We have so much equity. But they didn't think the house you buy has also gone up. And my dad would always say, you have to pay more when you sell your house at a higher price, but you also have to pay more. So it's better if you sell your house lower and you're buying a house lower. Of course, if you're going to rent, we should have sold years ago when it was at the peak. But as we saw, we looked at an apartment and we can't afford to rent. So we are kind of stuck. I think many Americans are kind of stuck. They can't afford to rent. They can't afford their mortgage. They can't afford the increase in property tax and insurance. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and what happens in our country. I hope you've enjoyed this video on some of the costs of home ownership. If you can't afford to rent, I would enjoy it and make the most of your weekends. Enjoy your city, your museums, your festivals, things going on. Have fun. Enjoy your life. Read a book. Exercise. Don't spend your time scrubbing the fence and cutting the grass and pulling the weeds and replacing broken things and having strangers come in your house. Of course, if you're renting, you have strangers come in to fix things that break too. It's just that you're not paying for that. You're paying for it indirectly through your rent, but not directly. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and look for our next video. And I'm sure Sammi will be in our next video. She typically likes being in videos and really loves getting pictures taken. She's an adorable Papillon. And until we see you again, take it easy. Hey, it's Sue from Aging Joyfully. Steve and I are touching up the gray paint in the front hall. It's gotten all marked up. I tried to touch it up myself and it did not match, so it looked worse. So we had to pull everything out. Very, very tiny front hall. You see Steve back there taping up everything. We had to pull out, we have a bench there and a few other things. It's very, very narrow. It's one feature I never really liked about this house is that front hall. but we're gonna touch that up so it looks good. Not gonna paint a different color. I've thought about painting it green to match our bathroom, but we are tired of painting. We painted a few years ago, the bedrooms and bathroom, and our painting days are long gone. We just wanna touch up, make the house look fresh and still look good. And I do wonder why all you young people in apartments who say you can't afford a house, why you would ever want one. This is what you do on your days off. You touch up paint, you landscape, you cut the grass. I'm dreaming of the days we could live in an apartment where we could say, hey, the apartment's clean and we just have to do our laundry. What do we have to do today? We have nothing. We could go have fun, go to museums, go to the beach, go hiking, go wherever. Those are our dreams of getting out of home ownership and getting into an apartment.